All right, welcome back to the episode of Small Guys Podcast. Today we're talking Borderlands, the movie. The film had a budget of 120 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
so not looking
8.8
good.
million is that's rough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like 20 million worldwide
There's
opening weekend.
there's
So
small businesses that make that much money.
right,
As a
and so I've seen a lot of people too saying, well, Deadpool and Wolverine took a lot of the audience. I mean, it's like
mm,
it's been over 3 weeks now. I don't
yeah,
think
I don't
that's
know.
the
I don't,
case.
I don't
It
know
ends
about
with
that.
us made like 50 million worldwide. So this past weekend. So that can't be the case. You know what I mean? So I, I
Yeah,
I think it's word of mouth. But yeah, I can get into the synopsis here and then the ratings, and then
roll
we can
with
get
it.
into the
Let's
review.
go.
Borderlands. Based on the best selling video game, this all star action adventure follows a ragtag team of misfits on a mission to save a missing girl who holds the key to unimaginable power. It's an hour and 42 minutes. It was PG-13. It's got a 9% on Rotten
Ugh.
Tomatoes for critics and a 52% for audiences. This movie opened at a 0. Um, and I remember the day after it was at 3% for a
Zero.
while, and now it is at 9. It's been out for almost a week. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be a week. Yeah, it's not doing well. We went and saw it yesterday. Uh, what did you think?
Well, I want to preface this and share that I have played the Borderlands like video games, but disclaimer, never actually beat one, never played one through. So I have an idea of kind of what's going on, some of the names just a little bit. Josh is pulling his up right now on YouTube. So Josh
Yeah, the
also
Handsome
played.
Collection.
I think that's the one I had. I bought
Yeah.
it when they were like all combined. So I have played it a little bit. I haven't beat it, but I at least had an idea of what this world is going to look like. So, with that said, if we are criticizing things and you've played these games and you're a huge fan of them and we're missing stuff, I guess just we apologize because we don't have that experience. So I want to throw that out there in advance. But with that said, the movie itself, if you were to not have played the video games or have very limited experience, is not good. Like, just off rip, this is not a good movie. They've got a really expensive cast, it looks like. That's probably why it was $120 million, because you've
Right.
got a bunch of actors that you've seen or heard of before, um, in what almost wants to be a blockbuster movie, but just falls short. The writing is dull and boring. I actually, Josh is going to have to fill me in. I fell asleep for maybe 15 minutes in this movie. In the I would say in the first half hour, I slept 15 minutes of it, um, just because I was bored, and that was maybe the first movie where I was like, well, if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. I just didn't care. So and I went into it and I didn't know how low the ratings were
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. Josh had mentioned to me that the movie wasn't doing great, but I actually didn't know it was at a 9. So I didn't go into it thinking like, oh, this is going to be the worst thing I've ever seen. And the audience is higher; it's in the 50s, so maybe it's getting dragged a little, and maybe that's a little bit higher because it's some folks that have played the game and they did appreciate, a real life
Certain aspects.
real life adaptation.
Yeah.
Um, so the crew that they had, the actors that they had, I think they all did a good job with the writing that was present to them. And I don't know if Kevin Hart was the right pick for that role, but maybe he was. Again, maybe that's a funny character in the video game or something that I don't know about. So maybe, like, I know that Claptrap the robot is in the video game is like kind of a sarcastic asshole. And that carried over really well. Like they did
Yeah.
a good job with that. The jokes that he would make, the little comments were
Jack Black.
entertain yeah, entertaining at the least. He told me that was Jack Black that voiced him. So that's cool. Like, that was somewhat entertaining, but as a movie itself, like, I just didn't think this was good. I would I found myself checking my watch, like, when is this going to be over? That's not a
Yeah.
telltale sign of me being locked in. That's a sign of should I just get up and leave, which I thought about doing.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people online before we even saw this. Like a lot of people were posting memes of Madam Web handing the baton to Borderlands for worst movie of the year, and so I did watch Madam Web on Netflix when it came out on there, and Madam Web's very bad as well. But like it was so bad and corny that it was like a fun bad, right? There's
Mm,
fun bad movies like The Room, right? So there's
yeah.
movies like that, but then there's just bad boring, which is what this movie falls in for me. Um, it was just boring, I mean, to the factor you fell asleep. I almost fell asleep, and I never fall asleep in the movie theater, and so yeah, it was a brutal watch. The one good thing I could say about it was Jack Black as Claptrap, who is I imagine played the games. He's a huge gamer, so I feel like he knew what the character was and he was able to have fun with it. Whereas like Kate Blanchett, who's in the movie, she stars in the movie. She kind of just felt like she didn't want to be there. I don't know. Is that how you felt
A
seeing her
little
like
bit.
deliver the lines? She seemed like
Yeah.
annoyed.
Yeah, and again, maybe that's her character, and if it is, she's a fantastic actor. Um if that's not her character, then yeah, it was I don't know, it was just hard to watch. Like I was just really bored. I couldn't get tied into any of the like little lore that they had or what was going on. And almost felt like it was this is the only areas where I'll give it credit and if someone's played the video game they can correct me, but like the scene where they're like, "Oh no, the elevator's down. Like we need to fix this." I was like, I could see this being a part of a game where you
Yeah.
have to defend yourself
Hmm.
well, two other characters fix the elevator. So if that's like a game aspect, okay, adaptation, good job. If that was just out of the blue, like some writing that they came up with, that was a horrible scene. Like that was horribly boring and so stupid. But if like that's a part of the game and they were adapting that, good job. Like I can see that. If
Yeah.
it's not, I have no understanding as to why that would be part of the movie. Like that scene in particular, um, sort of confused me. I guess it was just a rage montage to let a couple of the guys fight. But
Yeah, and I
yeah,
know I know like Tiny Tina is in the games. There's even like Tiny Tina's Wonderland, so like her being the main missing kid made sense I guess for the story. But yeah, I would even argue too like the CGI even wasn't that good. And I don't like blaming the team that does the CGI on these movies because they're horribly abused and rushed, and
yeah,
so I don't want to like critique them for that. But in this movie, like um, Lilith, for example, Kate Blanchett, her like fire wings she gets like just look terrible. I don't know,
yeah.
like the CGI for that just looked awful. Every time she
It
flew and everything like that, terrible.
it didn't look good, and you could say like it's low budget, but at 120 million, like you should be able to pull off a little bit better. I will say like the let's give it some credit. Let's not dog on everything here. At
Yeah.
least me. The like sound design, music choice that they had in the background was pretty good, and the set design, like the actual sets where they were at, looked pretty cool, pretty colorful. Um, it felt like maybe that was the only area where they were starting to kind of reel me into the movie. Was the actual like set where they were. I thought that was
Yeah.
they did a pretty good job with that. I just couldn't buy into the characters. I just didn't care. And maybe it was because I was predisposed and told like, hey, this movie's not that great. But I tried to go into it pretty, objectively without, had I not heard anything.
Hmm.
And I came out and yeah, it just wasn't good. It wasn't even like you said, it wasn't even funny bad. It was just boring. I was just bored.
Yeah.
I was looking at my watch.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the feeling I was getting from it. It was like they were almost trying to do like a Guardians of the Galaxy or Suicide Squad esque, like these misfits become a team. They have this music. They try to be do these like action scenes that aren't really working out, and that's kind of what it felt like for me, but like in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to
That's a
take that
pretty
trope.
that's a pretty good comparison, to be honest. I could see that. They felt like the off-brand Guardians of the Galaxy,
Right.
to a degree. No real no real leadership. Like you couldn't really. It just seemed like, oh look, here's
No
this.
heart too.
Yeah, no emotion. The characters were not. They weren't connected. I don't know. I just couldn't. I couldn't buy in. It seemed like a heist crew that just came together to try and get a job done, and they all suck.
Right, and too, even Kevin Hart actually is getting a lot of knock for this being in this movie. I think that's probably what's pissing people off the most. Maybe him and like Jamie Lee Curtis, Oscar winner, um, that they're in it because like Kevin Hart especially just kind of acts just like Kevin Hart. You know what I mean?
That's
So
my point. Yeah, like I think they all did a good job with the writing that was there, but I said that right away. Like, was Kevin
yeah,
Hart the right pick? I don't know.
right.
Was Jamie Lee Curtis the right pick for that? I I don't know. Maybe I'd have to play the video games a little bit more, and if that character's in there, it would make more sense. But I don't know. As a movie itself, I was bored, and
Well, and two, you know what I think hurt it as well is like, okay, so this is in a wasteland, right? But this year we've gotten movies like Dune Part Two or Fury Road, Furiosa, and so like we've seen these wastelands that look amazing. And so when you watch it in this movie, it's like, well, I've seen this already a few times this year, and this one doesn't look
yeah,
as good. You know what I mean? Even the Fallout show, even
yeah, yeah.
and its
Wasteland is
environment.
very prominent
Yeah,
this year, I guess.
yeah,
No,
that's what I was noticing when I was watching this. I was like, it just doesn't look as good as those.
it, for $120 million, it's disappointing. That's what it is. It's disappointing.
Yeah, and they've talked about this movie for 5 years. It's been in development for that long, so it's a lot of people were excited, and yeah, I think like Aiden was saying, like, well, it's hard for um these video game adaptations to become movies or shows, and I'm like, well, not really from what we've seen recently. I
Look
mean,
at The
we've gotten
Last of Us.
Fallout, Last of Us, yeah. I mean, we've gotten really good Mario. Mario made $1 billion. Now that's
Yeah, I
Mario,
actually,
but
yeah, that was one of last year. That was one of my favorite movies that came out. To be completely honest, I thought that was a
right.
great adaptation.
Right. So clearly, like it shows, it's not like video game fans aren't going to the movies. You know what I mean? That's clearly
Yeah,
not the case. So
maybe this should. Here's. Do you think this should have maybe been an animated movie?
yeah, that would have been cool. I don't know. I feel like they've almost
Maybe,
done that in the past, maybe with a Borderlands
and
show, but
maybe it
I
doesn't
think
have
I've
to
heard.
be the Borderlands like animation style.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a different style, but maybe if it was animated, it might have been better. I don't know.
Yeah, they could have went with like a Mutant Mayhem kind of art style, maybe, or something along those lines to make it feel like almost like a graphic novel, video game esque type of animation, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah, I definitely think that would have worked probably better, and they could have still had most of these actors just doing the voices rather than,
yeah.
what they tried to do.
Saved a ton of money too.
Right. Um, but yeah, I guess, I don't really have too much more to
I
add
was
to
gonna
this movie.
say I don't have it. I don't have anything else to say.
I wanted to go in and kind of just say all the things I liked about it, but really outside of Jack Black's performance, there wasn't that much really that I liked about it, and it's really unfortunate because I do love the video games, um, but yeah, it's just I don't know, it's disappointing, and there are just so much more better movies to see right now in theaters, especially with the new Alien movie coming out and Deadpool, Wolverine, and even Ends
Yeah,
with Us, right? If you like that stuff too, so there are other options out there to see other things rather than this, unfortunately. So
you want to get in the scores here?
yeah, you do want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So again, I mean, we started off the review. I don't have much. I don't have anything positive really to say about this movie other than the couple things that I outlined: the set design, the sound design, and maybe we both agree on Jack Black's performance. I think that was the only thing that maybe kept me from walking out of the damn movie. With that said, I would not recommend this movie. Um, with two exceptions. If you've played the video game, maybe you like this, and maybe I'm wrong. Or I think this would maybe be entertaining for like a child with a lot of swearing
Yeah.
and a decent amount of violence. But maybe like a older child, a tween, would find this entertaining and right up their alley.
11 or 12, maybe.
Some of the remarks that they make, and uh, I think in that aspect, that could be where it could work for anyone over the age of 16. I don't think this is a good movie. Honestly, I don't even know what to score it.
Which that's probably their target audience.
Yeah. I don't even think, if I'm being honest, it's really sad, but I think I'm going to give this I'll go higher than the 9. That seems brutal.
Yeah.
That just seems brutal. We got to hit double digits here. I'm
I'm double digits if that helps.
I'm going to give it a 19.
19, okay.
Because Jack Black's performance was pretty good. And I want to say that I think they tried, but
yeah,
the writing was just abysmal. I don't know who they had ChatGPT. This is the first ChatGPT movie written. It's got to be. It's got to be. That's the only thing that I can get behind, because I just didn't care about the characters. I didn't care where they were going. The vault, we didn't even talk about that. So underwhelming. That whole ending was leading up to something really cool, and I was almost interested for the big bad, the head of the Atlas Corporation, to his only, defense or power was to use his fist to shoot his flying Death Star. And that was easily destroyed in about 3 seconds. So, yeah, 19, don't recommend. Not sure what happened here. Pretty disappointed.
Yeah, they technically didn't show him die, so he could return for the next
Don't
one.
care.
Not that they're making another one. I assume they would not, because of how terrible it's doing.
Yeah,
the box
I don't
office.
care. I won't be seeing it. I can pass.
Yeah, my score's not too far from there. I'm gonna go with a solid 25.
Oh, nice.
100. Yeah,
Giving it a quarter.
Right. Yes, it was hard convincing people to come see this with us. I feel like we got Siri to come.
Yeah.
I did warn him too. I'm like, hey, listen, this is not getting the best
good.
reviews. I go, you're probably not going to like it. But I'm like, I know you played the games before. Would you want to come? And so he wanted to come, and yeah, he said this movie was pretty awful from what he told me. So, which is what I got from it as well. It's just. Again, it's just unfortunate. I really, like you said, it could be ChatGPT, and it would have been interesting to watch it as a 10 or 11-year-old just to see if I would have liked it more, because
we had
I feel like
a couple
back then as kids, you'd let a lot of that shit go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there were a couple of kids in the theater, and I heard them giggling and stuff at the little, swearing montages. So I don't know. Maybe it's higher if you're a child, but as a
maybe
parent,
they're not sick of Kevin Hart's shtick or any of
Yeah.
that stuff. And again, I think maybe I did a little chuckle once or twice, and that's just because the shit Claptrap was saying. So, I outside of him, I did not laugh once. It was so quiet in our theater. Not that there's a lot of people there, obviously from the box office numbers, but
Yeah.
I mean so the theater we go to, there's 20 different auditoriums, and they had us in 16, which is usually a movie's been out for a while. Yeah, or if it's a small indie movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, that's funny that you say that. When I looked at the ticket to come meet you guys, I went, "Oh well, that's weird. It's already in one of those small theaters." But I didn't even think too much of it.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of showings for it, and
yeah, I just thought oh, maybe that. So that's actually what I thought. I figured, oh, there's probably a lot of showings. I was like, that's why we're in a smaller theater. I guess not.
Yeah, because we didn't go till 7 p.m. and I don't think I bought our tickets till 3 or 4, because I was like, well, there's no rush to buy it in the morning because there's no seats that have been purchased yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Really a letdown.
Yeah, really. I mean, especially like I said, we've been waiting 5 years for this, and this is what we ended up with. So yeah, it's just unfortunate, but Alien Romulus should be the I guess like a mint, right? To clean our palate from what this was.
A little bit of a
So,
redemption, as long as
yeah,
it doesn't even have to be, you know, 100. I just would like to be a movie. I go into a movie, we score our movies, or at least I do, not based on, the performance of all of the actors and things like that. I mean, we do talk about that, and that plays a little bit of a part. But at the end of the day, my score is a reflection of how much I'm entertained.
right.
So, I mean, like the Mario movie, you mentioned that earlier. I
Hmm.
remember you guys scored it a little bit lower than me. I think I was like in the like high 90s. And that's because I was thoroughly entertained by that movie. Maybe, but there's other movies that also get, but this I just wasn't entertained by. It couldn't hold my attention, which is minuscule. Maybe that's why I liked Mario, bouncing colors and stuff. But no, not really. I think that Alien has a chance to redeem that and just entertain me. That's what I go to the movies for, to be entertained, to for 90 to 120 minutes or more, lock in and experience whatever this world is and whatever these characters are going through. That's what I go to the movies for. I couldn't do that with this, so we shall see.
Yeah, yeah, and I know too. We got Alien, and then we got Beetlejuice 2 coming out, which looks pretty good. So, we got some exciting stuff in the near future here, and yeah, I don't know, but that was our review on Borderlands. This is a shorter episode, but when we don't enjoy a movie, there's not not much to talk about it because we don't want to drag it
Yeah.
through the mud that much. But yeah, just not that good of a movie. Don't I wouldn't recommend seeing it.
No.
It's funny. I was leaving a family party yesterday, and everyone was like, "What are you seeing?" And I'm like, "Borderlands." And they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's apparently not that good." And they're like, "Well, why would you want to go see it?" I was like, "Oh, well, we have to. I feel like we have to. They have to
We
go
got to give it
try
a
it because
we got to give it a chance.
I want to give it a chance." I was like, maybe people, and then like the first two acts were wrapping up, and I was like, okay, maybe the ending is at least good. You know what I mean? Like I kept having hope, and nothing. It never happened.
It was very
So
underwhelming.
yeah, the ending was just as bad, if not worse, than the first two acts. So yeah, unfortunate, but I don't know. But thank you guys
Yep.
for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
See ya.